They said you reported a net worth between $6 million and $30 million. And they said your 2023 disclosure was roughly $40,000, between $40,000 and $250,000.
Yeah, but they're not net worths. They're like the asset things for the companies. And so I don't know what percentage of it my husband actually has investment in. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? It's not a full picture, of the numbers in the way that it is presented in the document, because in the documents, we have to do ranges and we have to like report in a way that is not detailed. It's not like your tax return that you're submitting for the public record to see.
But that is a big increase, though. So you could understand why people would ask questions.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it'll get like adjusted at some level when those ranges are.
She said, I don't even know. She said a bunch of bullshit, but she said it's going to get adjusted, though. What you mean it's going to get adjusted? Who the fuck adjusted it to say $30 million in the first place, huh? That's the real question. I'm about it going to get adjusted. When is it going to get adjusted? So you telling me they just out here adjusting people's net worths and just saying they just worth $30 million and shit? Like, what's going on? Girl, stop the cap now.
All right, now let's go ahead and slow this down. Of course, if you are not new here, you've seen that clip, but if you are, you probably have it. All right, so let's get to it. She's telling you it just ranges. It's not a full picture. It'll get adjusted. Cool. But here's the part nobody's saying out loud. Ranges don't turn pocket change into a lottery win overnight. That's not how ranges work. That's how damage control works, though, for sure. And I want you to notice something. She never actually landed on a number. It's all fog, all flexibility, all trust me. The second you hear it's complicated, you know what? Forget that. I'll translate it for you. They don't want you asking simple questions.
This is all about Ilhan Omar, because over the weekend she had to clarify what her net worth is, and she claims it's not $30 million. It's actually somewhere around 90,000. Take a listen.
It's the latest from the queen of the Somali fraudsters there. Ilhan has got some issues of her own for herself. She just got caught pulling the kind of egregiously corrupt scam that you'd expect to see in a place like Somalia. After initially filing financial documents with Congress claiming her wealth had surged to between $6 and $30 million in 2024, because of course it did, Ilhan, now facing investigations into that money, claims, oh no, I'm only worth between $18,000 and $95,000, blaming the vast disparity on major accounting errors. I'd say so. Imagine expecting anyone to believe that you thought you were worth $30 million when you're actually flat broke.
Yeah, this is her panicking. Okay, she's having to try to correct the record. She knows this particular talking point does not work in her favor. Ro Khan is another one, by the way. Allegedly, they say he's responsible for over $600 million worth of trading since being in Congress. I mean, we'll have to look further into that and see what the actual facts are. But the bottom line is these people are stone cold crooked. There's no doubt about that. And her husband, he's not something to celebrate about either. I mean, but again, how do you go from $30 million to $95,000? Come on now.
My bad. Now you hit a tone shift because this is what regular people, tap in and go, hold on, what are we even looking at right now? Obviously, this is my guy, Devori, Darkened, doing his thing out here, but you know what I mean. You don't accidentally overshoot your net worth by tens of millions. I'm serious. Like, how can that seriously be a typo? That's a completely different financial reality. And here's what makes it worse. These are the same people who will lecture you about accountability, transparency, fairness, but when it's their turn, suddenly it's nuance. Suddenly it's, you don't understand how all of this works. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting back like, nah. People understand exactly what they're seeing.
Ilhan Omar has now rescinded her $30 million net worth and says that she is only worth a paltry $18,000. She says that her liabilities now decrease her net worth. Of course, that's not how it works. And I just filed my taxes. That's not how a liability works. Lying to Congress is a big crime. Yeah. What's going on here with Ilhan Omar? What should happen with Ilhan Omar?
It's bizarre here. You're telling me that you had an accounting error to the tune of $30 million. I mean, I know Democrat math is pretty bad, but it's not even this bad. You know, to suggest this and think that the American people are going to buy this and not believe that there is something shady going on is completely crazy. I would like to know, how do you revise your net worth down by 30 million? And I think most people want to know as well. I mean, that's an astounding difference. And you know, there's been all kinds of questions about Congresswoman Omar, her immigration status, whether that was fraudulent whenever she initially came in, what types of businesses she and her husband run. You know, I believe her husband is supposed to run a winery, which I'm not quite sure how that squares with the rest of Ilhan's Islamic persona. But you know, I think there are a lot of open questions here.
And we checked. It's very haram. Like, you're not allowed to own a winery. You're not allowed to own wine at all. You're not allowed to be involved in alcohol. It's not something that, you know, lucky for her, though, Congressman, in conclusion here, lucky for her, the winery's fake. So she doesn't have to worry about it. This is not real. It's only real on paper. She said it's worth $5 million. So lucky her. You're right. Like, boom, it's fake. So she's good.
It's what it seems to be. Just don't ask questions, I guess, is the message from Democrats right now.
Yes, that's exactly right. We hope that you continue asking questions. We're so thankful for you and your fight on the Hill on this issue. It's rare to actually have a voice that reflects the base and what people voted for, and you're one of them. So thank you. Godspeed, Congressman.
That right there, that's what pressure sounds like. Because now it's not just social media clips. You know, it's getting dragged into place where you actually have to answer some questions. And Gil said what a lot of people are thinking. Yeah, a lot of people are already thinking it. How do you revise something down by that? I mean, by that amount? And expect nobody to think something's up. You can't preach oversight, you know, and investigations and ethics for everybody else, then act surprised when spotlight swings back your way. That's the part that keeps tripping people up. Not the numbers, y'all. It'd be the double standard.
Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. And we called together this press conference in the wake of yesterday's article in the Minnesota Reformer about my opponent, Representative Omar. She paid her husband, Tim Minette, $3 million of campaign money. And the way her time in office has given his business access and credibility, as they've misappropriated more than $1 million in money from South Dakota investors. They left workers unpaid and found the funds frozen by the Office of Foreign Assets Control, the U.S. Treasury Department in charge of enforcing sanctions. Unfortunately, this story is just the latest scandal in a string of new stories about Representative Omar that narrow the focus on her and bring us further from the type of progress our district and our country needs around issues that affect the lives of our neighbors. Representative Omar has used her 3 terms in Congress, what many would consider the opportunity and honor of a lifetime, to divide our community and enrich herself in the process. Minnesota Reformer reporter Max Nestorak's article mentions at least 3 of the businesses that Tim Minette and his partner Will Haler started. The first was their political consultancy, which received an unprecedented sum of money from Representative Omar's 2020 race, where she raked in millions of small dollar contributions from across the country during the election cycle. $3 million was spent with E Street, and a large portion of that money went directly back into her own household. After that, Tim Minette and his business partner, Will Haler, started a winery, a decision made when one of their marketing clients apparently offered them grapes in lieu of money. The winery left its workers unpaid and is currently being sued for breach of contract, a bizarre arrangement where they agreed to return an investment of $300,000 with a return of $900,000 just 18 months later.
Now we're stepping into the part they really don't want connected. Because once money starts looping back into familiar circles, people stop calling it complicated and start calling it what it looks like. And here's the game. If it's your opponent, headline, scandal, breaking news. If it's your side, allegations, context. Let's not jump to conclusions. Same playbook. I'm serious. It never changes. Same playbook every single time.
Are posted, and it caused a lot of concern. Like, wait a second, how did you make $30 million overnight? You're obviously part of a Somali fraud community that runs fraudulent daycares, grocery stores, hospice centers, and everything else. Also, there have been 95 Somalis that have been charged and indicted, many of them pleading guilty, to a cash for food scam where they claim to be feeding little children, but weren't feeding any children at all. Who wrote that program? Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is seen at these restaurants. It's called the Feeding Our Future scam. And Ilhan Omar is the one who wrote the legislation. So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. Posted it.
You see how it expands. Policy gets passed. Oversight gets loosened. And suddenly millions starts disappearing in the thin air. And when people point it out, it's always the same defense. Well, the intention was good. Intentions don't replace accountability. I don't know where y'all might have learned that from, but it don't. Because if the system gets exploited this easily, that's not just bad luck. That's a setup that, was never, ever tight to begin with.
Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force under the leadership of the vice president is going to demolish. And I'll just give Minnesotan.
This is where emotions come in. Because now it's not just numbers, it's perception. People working, grinding, barely getting by. Looking next door and feeling like the rules just aren't the same for everybody. Like, bro, I'll be mad too. Well, I am. Look, it ain't like my neighbor, but just because it's not happening to me, don't you get it. Now, whether you agree with, how he says it or not, the frustration is real. When people feel like the system rewards wrong behavior, you know what they're going to stop doing? They stop trusting it entirely.
I thought that we were doing the right thing this whole time. And the more I started digging, the more I started finding. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, that this was happening and that I was part of this.
Chris Bernardini spent 7 years working for Gateway Community Services, a Somali-American-led health services contractor in Maine. Bernardini alleges Gateway oversaw a system in which false records were filed about client visits. And he says they charged taxpayers for providing services that were never performed.
We started getting some clients calling and saying, months later that their client owed them hours. They hadn't come in for these shifts and stuff. But I had a time card for it.
And then they were billing for it.
They were billing for it.
In March of 2022, Gateway received a notice of violation from the state's Maine Care Services Program Integrity Unit based on an audit of records taken at random from January 2017 through December of 2018. Gateway overbilled by an estimated $904,000.
In your professional opinion, what you saw was fraud?
Absolute.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
But Bernardini says when the pandemic hit, it got worse.
I started seeing bonuses, $2,000 bonuses going to these staff that had only been with us for 2 weeks, never worked a shift with a client. And yet the PPP loan comes, you're giving $2,000 away like they're lollipops at a doctor's office.
In April of 2024, Bernardini wrote to the Department of Homeland Security seeking whistleblower protection. They referred him back to the state of Maine. Nearly a year later, Gateway fired Bernardini. The company's founder and CEO is Abdullahi Ali, a Somali American who, while at the time serving as executive director for Gateway, last year ran for president of Jubaland, a state in Somalia's south that borders Kenya. Last week, he posted on X, "I make no apologies for building a successful business in Maine, working hard to earn a living, earning my PhD, giving back to my Maine community, and running for office in Jubaland. I am proud to contribute my hard-earned dollars to support my people back home." We reached out to Ali for comment multiple times. We even came to Gateway to try and speak with him.
Hello. I'm with News Nation. My name is... No comment? Is Mr. Ali here? Can we speak with Mr. Ali?
Republican State Senator Matt Harrington has called on Governor Janet Mills to investigate.
It's just an absolute insult to the Maine taxpayer. That we know that there's this Medicaid fraud going on by Gateway Community Services. We're seeing nothing from the Mills administration on this, and I think it's appalling.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe I took so much of my time and put so much of my life into this agency that just tossed me aside. It's caused me to reflect a lot and, try to trust my gut more and speak up more when I see something. It's not right.
And now, this is the piece that ties everything together. A whistleblower speaks up, says something's off, and instead of the system correcting itself, he's the one out. Think about that. Not the alleged fraud, not the money trail, the guy pointing at it. Gone. And when people start believing this is just messy paperwork, I'm telling you, man, it'll only happen after this. So, step back and look at the full picture. You've got confusing financial disclosures, money moving in ways people can't even explain, policies that open doors for abuse, and whistleblowers getting pushed out instead of backed up. Individually, I'm sure each one will get brushed off, but together, man, it starts looking like a system where the rules aren't applied evenly. And the people in charge always seem to, land on their feet, like no matter what. Because once people believe the system protects itself more than it protects them, they stop buying the explanation altogether. So if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write accounting error, ? Y'all be safe. Go check with somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.